G'day everyone and welcome back to the Pokestraya YouTube channel. It's Jordan here, and today we're going to be looking at another budget deck. This is going to be a Gallade deck. Gallade is a very strong card. Saw a lot of play last season, usually in YZG and occasionally in the Gallade Octillery deck, which was usually what this Gallade was paired with when you were going for a full focus Gallade deck. Was the Octillery, because Gallade has this very nice premonition ability. So once during your turn, before you attack, you may look at the top 5 cards of your deck and then put them back in any order. Then Octillery's Abyssal Hand would allow you to draw cards so you could set up and have a nice hand, just kind of put you in a good position. It also has a very good attack in Sensitive Blade, probably one of the strongest attacks on a non-EX Pokemon. 60 damage, and if you played a supporter from your hand this turn, it does 70 more damage. 130 is very strong for a DCE. So this is this Gallade, 150 HP. Today we're going to be pairing this with Talonflame, and this plays actually very similar to the Talonflame Garchomp deck. This is a little bit different. So this Talonflame I think is really good in any Stage 2 deck. This can kind of help you get the Stage 2 almost guaranteed second turn unless they N or anything, but even then it's still very good. So this is a Pokemon with the ability Gale Wings. So if this is in your hand when you're setting up to play, you may put this face down as your active Pokemon. So essentially, if you start with this in your opening hand, you can play it as your basic starting Pokemon. From there, you can't play any others down. We do play 4 just so we can hopefully maximize our chances of starting with this Talonflame. The reason why we want to start with this is for the Aero Blitz attack, which does 40 damage, and you search your deck for 2 cards, put them into your hand, and shuffle your deck afterwards. The idea is to set up a couple of Rolters, Aero Blitz to find whatever cards you need, whether it be rare candies, Gallades, etc., and then start getting this Gallade set up and start swinging for some big numbers. Now we also do play a 1-1 Octillery line in here as well, just because the Premonition Abyssal Hand work really well together. So playing 4 Talonflame, 4-4 Gallade. We do play some Curliers. Item lock isn't as strong in this format, so this could probably honestly go down to 1 Curlier, but I do like having 2 in here just for kind of the later game when you're all out of rare candies and you start super rotting Pokemon back in. And the Octillery is just really good. Combos really well with this Premonition ability, which we talked about just a moment ago. So that's the Pokemon lineup. The idea is to just kind of hit a supporter every single turn so that you can Sensitive Blade for as much damage as possible. Now, for us to hit the supporters every turn, we're going to need to play quite a number of supporters, a couple of different tech supporters in this deck. One thing you'll notice about the supporter lineup is we aren't playing any Professor Sycamore, just because with this deck you do want to usually keep most of your cards in hand. That's why Shuffle Draw is really good in this deck. It's also kind of slower. This deck doesn't usually take the first 1 or 2 prizes. It can, but it's not something that usually happens. So one of our main supporters we're going to have here is N. If your opponent gets the early lead, which is kind of likely when you're playing a deck like this, N is very strong. You can end your opponent out of good hands, end them down to like 5, 4, 3 cards, whilst getting yourself a fresh 6. Also, it's just a supporter. Basically, we can play any supporter with this. We just need to play a supporter so Sensitive Blade hits for enough damage. So we're going to play the 3 N and 1 Ace Trainer. Just because, as I said earlier, your opponent usually does tend to take a quick lead against this deck. So Ace Trainer is very good for that. Then we're going to be playing 2 Skylar. Karina rotated, which does suck. Skylar isn't the same, but it's okay. Karina would allow us to get the rare candy and the Gallade, so we could easily set up. Skylar just allows us to get the rare candy or the Ultra Ball for a Gallade. It's still a nice card to have, and it is your supporter for the turn as well. That's pretty much every supporter is. As long as you can play a supporter, you'll be fine. So we're going to be playing 2 Lysanders, just because it's a strong card, and Gallade can one-shot Shaman very easily. Because it hits for just the perfect numbers without a Fury Belt. So Lysandering up a Shaman will just knock out a Shaman. It's very strong. 1 Olympia as well, just because I felt like I did need a solid switching card because we don't really have anything like AZ in the format. I do play Escape Ropes in here. I originally had this as a switch, but this is also a supporter. If your Octillery gets Lysandered, you can just Olympia. If your Gallade's got a lot of damage on it, you can Olympia heal 30 as well in the process, but also going into a different Gallade to start attacking again. Then we also play 1 Hex Maniac. Just shutting off abilities against certain decks is really good. Things like Mega Rayquaza heavily rely on those abilities first turn. 1 Bridget. First turn, this card is great. This will just allow you to set up. I didn't feel like playing 2 was really necessary anymore. This deck used to play about 2 Bridget just because it can get you your Rolt and a Remoraid down. I think with the Talonflame you don't really need the 2. And 1 Giovanni Scheme, mainly to do that extra 20 damage, just because this only does hit for 130. Sometimes it's nice to just get that extra 20 on there, because we do play cards such as this Talonflame. The Talonflame hits for 40, so between that and a Sensitive Blade, you got 170 damage there. Sometimes you need that 180. That's where Giovanni's comes in. We do have other cards to buff the attack, the damage output as well. So we do play 4 VS Seekers with this deck as well, just because we do play a lot of supporters. 2 Ultra Balls. There's a couple of reasons why we only play 2 Ultra Balls. Firstly, a lot of our Pokemon are only searchable through, well, can be searched through a level ball. With Talonflame as well, you really do tend to get Pokemon with the Talonflame, so you don't really need to Ultra Ball for them. I was actually going to play this with just kind of more all level ball and no Ultra Ball. The reason we play Ultra Ball though is to actually discard the Talonflames late game. Because as I said, the only way of really discarding cards is through Ultra Balls. We don't have Sycamores or anything. So if we can't find these Talonflames into the discard pile somehow, it's going to be tough for us. So Ultra Ball is really good for that. And also just getting the Gallade. Everything else is a level ball target. So we play 2 Ultra Ball, 2 level ball. I actually tried to pump this up to 3 Ultra Ball, but I just ran out of space. Couldn't find any things to cut from the deck to find the space for it. And then 3 Trainers Mails, just so we can hit our supporters consistently, just get our trainers. We do play 37 trainers, so Trainers Mails good. 4 Rare Candies, just because we need them. This just allows us to evolve our Rolt into Gallade as soon as our second turn. 1 Super Rod, just for when our Pokemon do get knocked out, we can shuffle them back in. And 2 Escape Rope, just because I think Escape Rope is really good in this deck. Not only can you retreat your Pokemon, but you can kind of force your opponent to bring something up as well, which is always good with Escape Rope. This Talonflame does have free retreat, so if you are able to Escape Rope into the Talonflame, you can then retreat the Talonflame back into the Gallade, which is very nice. So that's it for those trainers. We do also play 4 Bursting Balloon. This is something I also play with the Garchomp deck. This is just very good for helping us output our damage. 6 damage counters when Gallade is attacked is always strong. 2 Faded Town, just to help our damage output against Megas. 130 really isn't enough to get a lot of damage on a Mega, but between a Bursting Balloon and Faded Town, you start to hit for quite a bit more damage. And then 1 Parallel City, just to kind of slow down decks such as Mega Rayquaza, and also any like Volcanion can be kind of a rough matchup if they get a quick setup. If we can make it so their 5 Pokemon are doing 20 less, that's helpful. We then play 4 DC and 4 Fighting Energies. You really want to go for these DCs mostly, and with the Premonition Abyssal Hand combo, you can really get these DCs quickly. These Fighting Energies are just in case for the later game. So that is the deck. I've actually done something here because I'm 61 cards in deck. I don't know which card I upped. Okay, well, we're going to cut a card right now from this deck, and it is going to be, why not, we'll get rid of an Escape Rope. I can't remember what card I upped, but there must be a card, because I think it was 60, I don't know. Anyway, well, that is the deck. This is just kind of for fun and a little bit budget. I've kind of just thrown this together. I haven't really messed around with it too much, so we're just going to play a couple games with it right now and see how it goes. Alright, and here we go. Gallade Talonflame. Hopefully we can start with the Talonflame so I can kind of show you how this deck does set up pretty fast and well. It plays very similar to the Garchomp deck. I think Garchomp's probably a little bit better, but the Gallade does have a very nice option of trying to find pretty much anything you need. My opponent's playing a straight water deck. Probably going to be, I was going to say Greninja, although Greninja usually does play either Talonflame or Jirachi, so it might not be Greninja here. If it's Greninja, I think we do have a pretty average matchup, unless we can start the Talonflame and start to get quick knockouts. Set up our Gallade quick enough. But I think in the end, if enough Greninjas get set up, they're pretty much just going to run us over. So we're just waiting to load into the game here. And the Pokemon trading card game online not responding for me. Here we go. Alright, so my opponent does also have the Pokeclone, so maybe they are playing Greninja and just not playing the Talonflames or anything. If that's the case, I think we might have a better chance. We will go first, just because we want to be able to set up our evolutions as soon as possible. They do also have Blastoise sleeve in deck box. This could be like a Mega Blastoise deck or something. So we are going to start double Rolts. and pretty much nothing else, which is not very good. We are going to get a mulligan from my opponent, so no Talonflame start there. Yeah, my opponent's playing a Greninja deck without Talonflame. And they're just playing all water Pokemon. So we're going to draw one card for the mulligan, and we're going to find ourselves a Bridget, which is actually very good. I'm very happy to see this Bridget first turn. This means we can get our Rolts. We're going to have 4 Rolters and a Remoraid down in the first turn. It's going to be quite good. And then we're just going to end our turn. Okay, so if my opponent doesn't do anything, I find a DCE. We could actually go for a knockout next turn. We're going to see a Lysander from my opponent going for the Remoraid. My opponent really didn't have much going for them there. We do find Rare Candy, Gallade. We get the Curlier down. Put a Bursting Balloon on this Gallade, because hopefully I'm going to be able to find a way to get out of this. I'm going to Ultra Ball now, going for that Octillery. Hopefully it's not prized. Oh no, I prized the Octillery. Oh no. That's okay, we'll just grab ourselves another Curlier. And then we can Premonition, hopefully set a supporter to the top of our deck. Sometimes it does hurt not playing things like Sycamore. We're going to actually grab that Giovanni's because my opponent really doesn't have much. Although there's not much here I really want to take either. Yeah, we'll just get the Giovanni's for next time. Actually, I think maybe N was probably better there. And we're just going to pass. My opponent could go for a Bubble. I'm surprised they didn't Bubble last turn. Although it's not like we could have got anything going. So my opponent is going to get that Frogadier up now, which is not very good for us. I'm going to see a Dive Ball for the Greninja. I should have taken the N. I just didn't think my opponent really had anything going. They're going to Water Duplicates now. So this could be quite scary if this Greninja deck does get set up. And they've got all 3 Frogadiers there. Now Bursting Balloon goes. We're going to get the Giovanni Scheme. And I already know the cards I'm drawing as well, which aren't very good cards. So we're going to draw until we have 5 cards. We'll throw down the Faded Town just to get rid of it. Put a Fighting Energy onto this thing, I guess. And then Premonition. We'll take the Gallade, Escape Rope. And then from there, I don't think it matters either way. We're just going to get another Gallade in play. Because we don't have the Octillery, I think I'm just going to let this go down. We'll discard the Faded Town just because. And then we are just going to go into my opponent's turn. They do have that Greninja in hand, although we do have means of playing a supporter. Luckily we hit for 130, which is enough to knock out this Greninja, as long as my opponent doesn't Wally as well. I'm going to see a VS Seeker, probably for a Lysander here. I'm going to take out probably one of my Curliers, I would imagine. They're going for the Gallade. They're going to Moonlight Slash as well, which isn't a knockout, so kind of odd why they did that. We really want to find ourselves a DCE this turn. We do get the Gallade down. We can Level Bowl just to get rid of it. And then we're going to N. If I can find myself a DCE, we're going to be in a very good position here. Kind of a shame because my opponent really hasn't played much. And oh my god, I missed everything. Okay, so we're just going to Bursting Balloon the active. And pass turn. Oh, I should have Premonitioned as well. Oh my god, that was a misplay. I can't believe we missed the energy. We didn't even get a basic energy down. This is going to suck, because if my opponent can now find a Greninja break, I think we lose from that point. You see a Lucky Helmet going down onto the Greninja. Random Receiver. A couple of wacky cards from my opponent. Going to find themselves an N, so if they N us, that'd be very nice. Otherwise, I do have the VS Seeker for an N myself. And my opponent is going to N. I really just hope they miss the Greninja break here. That's my only hope. And if they miss a Greninja here as well, that'd be really nice. I'm okay if they knock this guy out. There's the DCE, so we do have means of doing something next turn. And we do have an Ace Trainer as well, so my opponent passes turn. Okay, that is a pretty big misplay from my opponent. So we're just going to DCE, Bursting Balloon. We can Trainer's Mail. Find ourselves a Hex Maniac, which is going to be very good. Then we can Premonition. And we'll grab ourselves next turn another DCE. And then the VS Seeker. Okay, and we're going to Hex Maniac to stop off any Greninja breaks coming down and doing a lot of damage to us, and Sensitive Blade for the knockout. And we also do have this Bursting Balloon. I'm getting another DCE next turn. So this is going to be very good for us. My opponent does get to draw 2 cards, unfortunately. Now, if my opponent even gets the Greninja break and attacks us, there'll be 60 on that. I think we're actually in a very good position here. Alright, and we do have a Rare Candy and an Ultra Ball. My opponent's going to Super Rod, plays down the Froakie, attaches the energy, and a Moonlight Slash now for the knockout. And I know I'm getting a DCE next turn. So I'm absolutely okay with this. And I also do know that I can, if I choose to, get myself another Gallade. I don't think I really need it at this point though. So we're just going to DCE VS Seeker for the Hex Maniac. Hex. I should have actually no, I didn't need a Premonition because I know what the next card was, so it's all good. And then we can Sensitive Blade again for another knockout. So at this point we're just kind of trading prizes, and I think I'm in a better position. Unfortunately, I did discard my Super Rod early into this game, so I kind of just have to beat these Greninjas, and if I can beat the Greninjas we'll be fine. If not, we're going to be in a bit of trouble. Greninja does 2-shot us, which is very nice. We're going to see a Dive Ball from my opponent. They could grab a break this turn. They're just going to grab another Greninja. Maybe they don't play the breaks, because I haven't seen a break come down. And they've had the options to play the break, so we're going to see another Moonlight Slash here for 80 damage. So my opponent having to 2-shot us is very good. We get ourselves another VS Seeker. So we can VS Seeker for Hex once again. I think I might Trainer's Mail here. Find myself the Olympia, just in case I need it. I don't really need to Ultra Ball for anything at this point. I can use VS Seeker for the Hex Maniac once again, and this turn I'll Premonition. We'll grab ourselves a Gallade, or do we want the VS Seeker? We'll go VS Seeker, Gallade. I actually think that might have been the wrong move because we're going to get knocked out this turn. That's okay. Hopefully we can get the Octillery. We're going to Hex Maniac once again. And then Sensitive Blade. These Hex Maniacs are really what's helping me here. Although if a Greninja break does come down, I can't one-shot it. So we're going to get 2 prizes ahead. I was really hoping that was an Octillery. You do find a DCE though, which is nice. But I think I did make a bit of a mistake there. But it shouldn't be too bad. I should be able to come back from it. So energy going down onto that Greninja, and we're going to see another Moonlight Slash. And oh, this is very big now because my opponent doesn't have this thing evolved. So what I'm going to do is, because I'm going to probably Olympia this turn, just as my supporter, because I can't Ace Trainer, I can't Lysander. Well, I could Lysander, I don't want to Lysander. Oh, I put the VS Seeker at the top anyway. But I am going to go for the Olympia this turn, because they can't get a Greninja break unless they Wally. So I'm going to Ultra Ball, discarding the Lysander and the Ace Trainer, getting ourselves a Gallade. We can Rare Candy Gallade, throw down the DCE, Olympia, going into this Gallade, and then we could Premonition, set myself up in a position where I can get some good cards next turn. I'll take the Skylar, then the energies, then all that stuff. Skylar's just going to be able to get me a Gallade if I need it. Hopefully now I can get an Octillery off the prize. We're going to Sensitive Blade for the knockout. I think even if we miss it, we just need a supporter. Next turn and we win. We get ourselves another VS Seeker. So unless my opponent evolves and Wallies, and even then they're not knocking us out. You can see the Enhanced Hammer. Oh, that's a big card to come down now. Okay, that puts us in a little bit of an Okay, my opponent's gonna Super Rod, getting back 3 Frogadiers. Losing that DC actually does hurt quite a bit because that's 3 now in the discard. My opponent's going to water duplicates once again, find themselves some other Frogadiers. We find ourselves the Skylar. I'm going to Premonition to see if I can find that DC on the top of the deck. And we do. Oh, wow. Because now I can VS Seeker for the Giovanni scheme, get the last DCE. Now, if this DCE gets knocked, now we kind of run into a bit of a problem. So we're going to get the Giovanni scheme. Draw 3 cards with this. DCE down, and we can Sensitive Blade for the knockout. But again, my opponent's still in this position. If they have another, I wish that I could get that Octillery. If they have another Enhanced Hammer, I think then we might be in a bit of trouble. But I don't actually think it's going to be too bad for us. And I doubt they play 2 Enhanced Hammers. So we see the Water Energy coming down and the pass turn. That is going to be the game, because we can just Skylar. We'll grab the Level Ball. It doesn't matter, because now we can just Sensitive Blade for our last prize card. So I don't know, that was a very different build to Greninja. My opponent going to concede there. So that's all I've got time for today. That was Gallade Talonflame. I'll probably come back to this because the list was a little rushed. I just kind of tried to throw this thing together in a couple of minutes. So I definitely want to work on this deck. I don't think it's that good, but I think it's a very good build of Gallade. I think it's probably better than Gallade Octillery. Gallade Octillery does suffer from like a little bit of inconsistency. Hex Maniac and Garbodor kind of just ruined the deck completely. I think this Talonflame build does have a lot of potential. Obviously, I didn't even get to use the Talonflame in this game, so this is a deck I will try and come back to if I can. Thank you guys for watching this. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to Pokestraya, and I'll see you next time.